I killed Nathan Hale. I had no choice. He was becoming one of them. He could have stopped me, but I think he wanted to die. At least that's what I keep telling myself.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, introducing you to Chapter 15 in my Resistance 3 Superhuman difficulty video walkthrough. And this is entitled Encore. And this guy is puzzling. This guy is the lackey of the warden that killed Malikov, spoiler alert. And and he's kind of like Malikov. He's kind of a really smart dude that's been put into a situation that he doesn't necessarily want to be in, but he's just kind of embracing it. So for the rest of the game, I actually thought this guy was going to replace Malikov and be the scientist that helped us stop the Chimera, but after this level, you never see him again, which is kind of fucking weird if you ask me, and kind of, you know, just pointless. But he's a decent enough character, and he does help you, and he gives you the mutator, which is probably one of the funniest guns I've used in many years. This reminds me of something off of Turok, because they had some of the most ridiculous guns ever, and this is equally as fun. And the first function of this can be charged, and if you hit people with it, it gives them the plague, effectively. They'll start growing boils, they'll start being sick, and they'll die. And it's brilliant. The only problem is you generally want to charge it to a full shot before you fire it, because the single shot is a bit of a pain in the ass to use. Another thing to bear in mind is there is an arc on this weapon. Much like the boom shot off of Gears of War, this thing travels in an arc. And you'll notice if you punch and you shoot them, you can kill them. That's a good strategy with it for close range. As soon as you get the secondary function, though, it is absolutely amazing. And he attaches like a spray can to it or something, and it allows you to fire a blob which will disperse into gas, and it'll put a cloud of this sickness out. And anybody that gets caught in the cloud, or is even remotely close to this cloud, is going to start bleeding out the ass, losing teeth, boiling over and dying as well. And it's just really funny to see it. It's just one of them things where it's so silly. It works. It's just great. I love this gun. It's so funny. And I don't actually use it that often after this level, because once you get your other guns back, I kind of get into the whole resistance mood of just using assault rifles and things. But this will clear crowds. This will fuck Chimera up. It is a really cool weapon. But you're going to be moving through the prison, and you're going to be touching these drones and disabling these battery packs, or whatever the hell they are on the drones. And what that's going to do is it's going to alert the Chimera to where you are, and they're hopefully going to come and save/kill you. So this is what you're going to be doing now for the rest of this level, is just cruising around the prison and disabling these bits. And as soon as you get to the shower area, you will get a gun, which is a shotgun, the Rossmar, I believe it's called. And then after that, you'll start getting all kinds of guns, but it's still valid to use the mutator, because it is a fantastic weapon, and it'll really come in handy. But this is one of those levels that's kind of weird, and the reason why it's kind of weird in my opinion is it starts off, there's a lot of these expositional moments where you're moving around and you're listening to people talk and there's not too much happening, and then all of a sudden you'll get thrown into a couple of firefights that seem a lot more hectic than they are. Then there's another quiet spell, and it keeps going up and down. There's a lot of peaks and valleys, and it's an interesting pace of a mission, because you can stealth a lot of the areas in this area, which is awful English because I used the word area fucking twice, but you can use stealth to get through these next few sequences. I choose not to, because if I wanted to stealth, I'm going to play Deus Ex. I'm not going to play Resistance for stealth. I'm going to get these fantastic looking guns, and I'm going to cause as much havoc as I can. But this is the first encounter with people that will shoot back, so I always move through the left hand side of this shower room, and you'll notice I'm charging the gun, which is always the best thing to do. You can keep the charge for as long as you want. It'll never fire automatically. And if there's nobody around and you're still charging, if you change your weapon, I do believe it cancels the charge without firing. But there's 3 or 4 guys in here, and then the next room is filled with guys with assault rifles. So once you've cleared all these geezers up, pick up the Rossmar from them, collect a bunch of ammo, but do not forget the mutator gun, because right here is a perfect opportunity for the secondary function. So watch this. Cloud of death, everybody gets Black Death. It is so funny, this gun. It is unbelievably useful. And there's a couple of moments on this guide you're going to notice that I fire the secondary function of the gun, and nobody's around. It doesn't kill anybody. All I'm doing is wasting the secondary function that could come in handy much later. And I cannot actually explain why I was doing this. It's one of those things where I've been playing a few games while I was recording this, and I pressed the wrong buttons, and it happened a lot with this gun. For some reason I just couldn't get it in my head. And a little funny side story, On this button you hold Y, or you hold, what the fuck is it? It's triangle, isn't it? You hold triangle to bring up your weapon wheel. And on Dead Island on the 360, you hold the right bumper to do that. And if you hold Y, which is triangle, on Dead Island, it throws your weapon. So for the first few hours of playing the game, I kept throwing my weapons around and forgetting about them and losing really, really good weapons because of the differences in the control schemes, which is fucking annoying. And I understand a universal control scheme just wouldn't really work depending on what type of game you're doing, but it would be nice to have this level of customization that this game has, because the button mapping on this game is brilliant. You can change anything to anything. It is absolutely fantastic, and more games should pay attention because it's innovative on something that should be a norm, and it isn't. It's ridiculous. But this room here would have been much quicker if I'd have just fired the playground in and killed them all, but I decided to use the shotgun. I decided to get shot far too much. That guy's turning into bloody Swamp Thing, and this is, I believe, the second of the drones that we have to disable or enable. I can't remember what we were doing completely. But these first few are very easy. I think it's the second to last one that's quite challenging, because you're going to go into a cell area that's filled with dudes with bats, filled with dudes with guns, and you can die very quickly if you're not careful. But shoot and melee is always a good strategy against one guy that's close, but I wouldn't really rely on it too much because there's no reason to save your ammo on these kind of games. These games are built so that you can shoot a lot. And now we come to another interesting little down period of the level where we have to wait for the scientist guy to unlock the door. There's a giant rat. Thing probably shaves, it's that fucking big. But he's going to overpower the door. You still have to pull it open, which is kind of crazy that there's all these doors yet they require a man to open them, which seems kind of strange in the future and what have you. But this is the stealth area, and as you can tell, I run and I stab the first guy, which could be counted as stealth, but for the rest of it I probably shoot. So there's two guys sat there. I tried to go past them thinking that there'd be a way to go, but there isn't. This gate wouldn't open, and it seems like a dead end for whatever reason. But if you've got the mutator or the shotgun, you can kill these guys very quickly. You can even throw a grenade in if you want to, because there's some stuff you can do on this game that still counts as stealth, even though it isn't. And I decided to use the secondary function of the the shotgun, which is a grenade. And I don't think that secondary function's any good, me. I know my shotgun's only level 1, so it's probably not as damaging as, say, some other people's, but every time I've used it, it's disappointed me, so I generally stay away from it. The secondary function of the carbine is much more effective. And obviously that guy will drop a little bit of health when you kill him, so make sure you utilise that. And if anybody's at long range, use the carbine. I know it makes sense, but a lot of people don't think to do it. And this is when you're really going to find out that this gun has a little bit more recoil than it's ever had. And right then, if that had gone through the bars instead of nearly killing me, that would have been a really, really well-placed grenade. But unfortunately, I had to waste a second one because I missed the shot. But keep your range, keep peppering dudes from a distance. And this first area is not too challenging at all. It's quite simple. It's when you push forward from here that you'll hit a checkpoint, and then there is a ton of dudes that are standing near the drone, and there's also a sniper rifle there for you to pick up. And be careful if you rush through that area and pick that sniper rifle up, because this game has a weapon system where the most recent gun or the most powerful gun that you pick up takes priority over the other ones, and it automatically switches your weapon. And I went in with a shotgun to kill 5 people at close range. It put a sniper rifle on, and it did not end well for me. So you want to be careful with that kind of stuff. And the hip fire with this gun is nowhere near as good as it was on Resistance 1. On Resistance 1 it was as accurate as aiming. On Resistance 2 it was a lot less accurate, but this game I think it's probably closer to Resistance 2, if not a little worse. But there's some lovely napalm. Why do I keep calling it napalm? Molotov cocktails, sorry, on the side there. There's a little bit of life as you push through, and this is the challenging room of the level. So I originally came up here and I rushed it and tried to kill everybody, but on the recording run it didn't work. So I take it a little bit more stealth. I throw a grenade at those guys, and then I wait for them to come to me. And the reason why this level's challenging is because they all have guns and they come from a lot of different areas. So you'll find yourself getting shot, your life gets weaned down a lot, and there's not really much you can do about it because you have to openly go out of cover to find life, and when you're out of cover that's when you're gonna die. So it's kind of that double-sided sword situation that makes this a little bit more challenging than perhaps Resistance 2. So that guy's got his back to me. The knife will work at that range. I should have knifed him and shot him, but I was more conscious of moving back into cover so that nobody else could shoot me, because as I mentioned, I think I died about twice on this area and I really didn't enjoy it. But just keep picking them off. Keep slaying left, right and centre. They will come to you. It does take them a while, and it all depends on what weapon they're using. If they're using a shotgun, they'll be more eager to come up close, obviously. If they're using a range weapon, they'll just sit behind boxes and wait for you to pop your head out. So pick up all the ammo, keep listening out for dudes moving around, keep trying to bait them with your presence to see if you can see anything. I can hear a gun firing there, so I know that there's somebody still alive. There he is. Some atrocious aim to get on target, but I got there in the end and finished him off. So that is probably the most challenging room of the level, but there is a section coming up with some grims, which is a pain in the ass, so you'll probably enjoy that. But before that can happen, that guy somehow managed to sneak up behind me. I don't know what he's doing crouching there. It looked like he was taking a turd. But the door opens and there's a couple of enemies in the doorway, so just be aware of those. And what's going to be happening is the last drone is a setup, it's an ambush. And you're going to be going into a cafeteria, and once you've cleared everybody out in the cafeteria, if you go to examine the drone, it'll set off this massive shootout. And at the start of the shootout, I decide to stay in the kitchen and snipe people, and I take a lot of damage. I actually go down to 1 bar of health, and I move into a place which is much safer. So I'm just going to warn people before I get there, move to the place that I moved to towards the end of the fight straight away, and you will have nowhere near the amount of damage on yourself as I do, because it's going to make the next section of the game more difficult than it needs to be. But as you push through this little chapel, pick up the ammo, make sure everything's reloaded and what have you, and you're going to move out into this courtyard. There's a sniper rifle there, and that is telling you, that is signposting that there is going to be a sniper section, and that is exactly what this is. And these dudes, they may be prisoners, they may look like scrubbers and, you know, retards, but they're very quick on the sniper rifle. They're almost as quick as the Chimera, so you want to use these boxes that I'm crouched behind, and you want to be headhunting. The drones that come in will actually distract the snipers, so you don't have to shoot them. I do believe I shoot them because I just like shooting things, and I was hoping to power my sniper rifle up a little bit quicker. But as per usual, it is completely optional. You don't have to. You can move through this a lot more intelligently than I do if you choose to and take your time. But I just clear out as many guys as I can, and then I move on to the next area. But we're at the advent now of this difficulty curve, because you might have noticed so far, aside from that grim area when we were, you know, in the little town before we killed Satan, which is a sentence that if you're just joining us and you don't know what Satan is, that probably sounds a lot more biblical than it is. But that level aside, the difficulty hasn't been too bad so far, I don't think. I thought the game was... It's challenging if you let it, but if you play it intelligently enough, it's not too bad. After this level, shit starts getting hard. And it's all because the checkpoint system of the game really rears its ugly head at not being quite as efficient as I thought it was. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, if you see snow, you are effectively in the hardest part of the game, in my opinion. But move forward with Malakov 2, pick up some life, pick up some Molotovs and what have you. And then this is the final drone, which we have to disable. And you'll notice there is a stack of dudes in here, so the best thing to do is probably put the mutator on. I throw a Molotov, which works fantastically. It's entirely up to you how you want to play the game. The weapons and the secondary functions of them turn this game into kind of like a puzzle. And it's a puzzle that can be solved in many ways. So you should never think your way is the correct way and someone else's way is wrong, because I can bet you a hell of a lot of money. Well, look at that guy, teleports over the cover, still swinging his crowbar. What a beast. But there's a couple of guys in the cafeteria in the kitchen area that's got guns, so you want to try and hit them from a distance like I did with the carbine. I did get tagged a little bit, but sometimes you can't really help it. But as I was saying, there is no one way to do a situation, and I'll bet money that if you search on YouTube, every single guide will probably be very different, just because there's so many weapons to assault every different situation with. But this room right now, this is the room that you should be standing in for the entire duration of this little siege that's about to kick off. It is safer, you can put turrets down, you can use your auger, oh no, sorry, you can't use your auger because you don't have an auger. But you can use whatever weapons you've got, you can use your grenades, and it is a lot easier than staying in this back area. But it's something you're going to see in the next video, in part 2. So thanks for watching, guys, and as always, you take care now.